Hey everybody, today we are going to be talking about the coordinate plane. So I want to give a little bit of an intro and kind of show you how to navigate through a coordinate plane. You'll see that this will work as a good foundation for graphing integers and things like that. So I would suggest to go back to my integer video if you haven't dealt with that yet. It can get rather confusing. A lot of it is counterintuitive in some parts when we're talking about the different quadrants. But it's something that you might want to look at or use as a reference as you move forward. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope that it's helpful for you. All right, let's take a look at our coordinate plane here. All right, so we have these different points here, which are labeled A, B, C, and D. All right. What we want to do is, before we even get into that, let's discuss the quadrants. So if we think of the word quadrant, we know that the root is quad, meaning 4. So we're going to label each of the quadrants. So quadrant 1 would be right here. And I always remind students that it should be labeled with a Roman numeral. So quadrant 1 is here. And if we take note, everything that's in there has to be a positive x and a positive y. All right, so we always go x, y. X is our side to side, which would be these right here. And then our Y is our vertical up and down, which would be all the way over here. Okay? So it's good to keep that in mind. Okay, let me get rid of this. All right, then you would think that you would go underneath for quadrant 2, but with math, of course, it's counterintuitive. So we're actually going to go over here, and quadrant 2 would be over here. So our x's are now negative, our y's are positive. All right, so we could actually tell what quadrant an ordered pair is going to be in just from the values if they're positive or negative. And then we go down here to quadrant 3. Now everything is negative, negative. And take note, quadrant 3 and quadrant 1 are technically opposite of one another, which makes sense because now the signs are opposite, negative and negative, positive, positive. And then finally, quadrant 4, which is probably your hardest Roman numeral to write, we have positive x and negative y. And once again, 2, 4 are opposite values for the ordered pair. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're actually going to name the coordinates for A, B, C, and D. All right, so if we look for A, you always want to go side to side first. Right, those are your x's, side to side. So a good way to remember this is that you have to run before you can fly, meaning going up and down. So if we look, we line it up, we go back 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so we have negative 4 as our first one. And then we'll count up, which, you know, we can always look at the y-axis as well, and that goes up 7. Okay, now for B, what we'll do is we'll count 6 to the right. Remember, you want to go left to right first. It's a positive 6. And then we're going up 2. Remember, if it's in quadrant 1, it's going to be all positive ordered pairs. C. This one's a little tough, all right? So we're not going left to right at all, but we are going down. So if we're not moving left to right, we put a 0 in, right? And it goes down -5. So if you were to be asked what quadrant is it in, well, it's not in any quadrant. It's actually on the y-axis. I think of this like 2 fences crossing. And then the last one, D, similar to C, except that we're going left to right. We're going back 6, but we're not going up or down anywhere. So it's 0, all right? And that's on the x-axis. All right, and here they're asking us what quadrant is the ordered pair in. Now, you can go as far as to actually plot these out, but remember, this is our x, this is our y, alphabetical. Well, if we have this labeled here, which is something you can memorize, right? It's a good reference. -4, +5. Well, we have a negative and a positive. Well, look, quadrant 2. Negative, negative, quadrant 3. 2, 2, positive, positive, got to be quadrant 1. 5, 0, well, 5, we're going to go right to the left. 0 indicates that we're not going up or down. So that's actually not in the quadrant. It's on the x-axis, all right? Okay, then our last one here, 0, 0, that's right in the middle. All right, we haven't talked about this, but where they cross with the crosshairs as I refer to it, is known as your origin. It's your starting point.